I've had a question recently about how to practice to get rid of cracked notes. Cracking notes, hitting the wrong partial, and other inconsistencies are by far the most frustrating thing about playing a brass instrument. You've learned the music, you're interpreting everything on the page, you know how it should go, but yet the right sound doesn't always come out the bell. Well, I have several methods today that I use in my own practicing, and I also try to teach all my students to do in their practicing. And hopefully you'll find one of these helpful for you. Before we go on though, I just want to make sure that you are practicing slowly. So if it's been a long time since you've gone back and practiced at half speed with the metronome, go ahead and stop watching right now and go do that. That'll be far more productive for you than what I'm about to talk about. But assuming you have put in the work and you've done lots of slow practice, I think these methods will help you develop the consistency you need when performing these etudes. The first method I'd like to talk about is by far the simplest, and that's singing your piece out loud. If you think about it, all the trombone is a hunk of metal that we're trying to play music with. And so it makes sense that we take a little time and make sure that we can produce the music we want, the music we hear in our mind, with the most natural instrument we have, which of course is our voice. Many times, if you can do that and you can sing the right notes, you'll go back and play, and lo and behold, they'll come out the bell. The second method I'd like to talk about is something I call ghost playing or air playing. And this is going through the entire process of playing the trombone for a passage, doing everything except trying to actually make a sound. And instead of making a sound, you're going to imagine the perfect trombone sound you want in your mind. So everything else, articulation, air blowing through the horn, all of that happens, you're just not trying to make a sound. So here's an example. And that passage is from the lyrical etude this year, which is this. And of course, that's the sound I was imagining in my mind as I was going through all the motions of playing. The only thing I'll point out about this is that it does take a lot of air. There's much less resistance than there is in actually playing, so just be careful you don't pass out. The third method I'd like to talk about is buzzing the mouthpiece by itself. Now this is something that some teachers may not like, and if your teacher says not to do it, then just don't do it and skip to number 4. It's fine by me. But this is something that I like to do in my own practicing. It helps me, and it's helped a lot of my students as well. And so here's the idea. Take the mouthpiece by itself. If it's a lyrical etude you're working on, I prefer to buzz with no articulation like this. And that way, sliding from note to note, you can really hear that you're getting the right connection between the notes and you're really hearing all the pitches. Conversely, if I'm working on a technical etude, I like to buzz with the articulation. So here's an example from this year, the first etude. And so on. The final practice method I'd like to talk about is changing the style. And what I mean by this is if you're playing a lyrical etude, go ahead and stop and totally change the style and play the notes detached with clear articulations. And the opposite is true. If you're working on a technical etude with lots of detached notes and lots of technique, go ahead and play it all like it's slurred, or even better, play it all with no articulation at all, smearing all the notes together. Here's an example of that from etude number 3 from this year. back and tonguing all the notes like I normally would is much, much easier. And sometimes changing up the context a little bit like that is all it takes to get our brain going again, to be more mindful in our approach to practicing. So just to sum up, I've presented 4 methods today to add to your practicing. We have first, singing out loud. Second, ghost playing or air playing. Third, buzzing the mouthpiece by itself. And lastly, changing the style. All 4 of these methods help you change up the context of your practice situation and help you be more mindful in your approach to the music. And I think that doing these things, assuming you've already put in the work to learn the music, will help you find the consistency you need when it's time to perform. So I hope you found these tips helpful, and best of luck in preparing for your audition.